Have you ever just felt invisible? Like you're stuck in this period of your life where you're completely unseen, nobody's celebrating you, and maybe you even feel a little forgotten. Well, what we're going to do here is completely reframe that entire experience. We're going to dive into this really powerful idea that these moments of isolation, they aren't about being abandoned. Not at all. They're about being built.
And that feeling, it's so real, isn't it? From the outside, it probably looks like you're falling behind. People aren't seeing the progress, they don't see any big wins to celebrate. But here's the thing. This quiet, this perceived silence, it isn't failure. It's actually part of a very deliberate, very powerful plan.
You see, this period of being hidden, it's no accident. Think of it like a construction zone. You're being concealed not because you're weak, but because you're becoming way too strong to be revealed before it's the right time. So, first things first, let's really get into that overwhelming feeling of exile, that sense that you've been cast out or just completely left behind. This right here, this is the first major shift in how we need to think. You haven't been cast out, you've been called deeper. It's a total reframing that takes you from being a victim of your circumstances to being a new recruit in a divine army. God has separated you for a very specific reason. You were becoming too dangerous for the status quo. Your purpose was just too sacred for all the constant distraction and noise of the crowd. And honestly, you were simply too chosen to stay in an ordinary place. He didn't push you away, he pulled you into the wilderness to be trained. Okay, so now let's completely reframe what this whole wilderness experience is really all about. This is the key. This is the transformation in your thinking. What feels like exile is actually your enlistment. What you perceive as a totally frustrating delay is really your sharpening. What feels like some kind of punishment is you being processed. And that silence? Oh, that silence is intense preparation. So here's the new definition we're working with. The wilderness is not a graveyard for your potential. No way. It is the proving ground where your destiny gets hammered into shape, refined, and made ready for its ultimate purpose. Just think about it like this. A master archer keeps his absolute best arrows protected, hidden away in his quiver, until that perfect moment to use them. In the exact same way, you are being polished and concealed. You're a weapon in waiting, held back for a time when your impact will be the absolute greatest. So, what actually happens in this place of holy silence? Let's break down the forging process itself, because it's pretty intense. You know, the quiet on the outside is so deceptive. It only exists to allow for the maximum amount of work to happen on the inside. Every single day you walk alone, God is grinding away the rust of pride, He's chiseling off weakness, and He is forging you into something absolutely lethal for His purpose. And let's be real, sharpening is a violent process. It is not gentle. The grindstone strips away parts of you that you thought you needed. The fire of all your trials heats you until you're malleable, and the hammer of God's will strikes you again and again and again until your very shape is unrecognizable from what it used to be. And look, this isn't some brand new idea. It's a timeless pattern. Joseph put in 13 years in chains before he ruled Egypt. Moses spent 40 years as a forgotten shepherd before he led an entire nation. David was hunted in caves for years before he ever took the throne. Even Jesus had his 40 days in the wilderness before his ministry kicked off. See the pattern? Great purpose is always, always preceded by a great wilderness. The waiting, the silence, all that hard work, it all has a goal. It's the work of perseverance, and its whole purpose is to make you mature and complete and fully equipped, so that when you are finally released, you lack absolutely nothing for the battle that's waiting for you. Okay, this brings us to the final, and honestly, the most thrilling part. After all the hiding, the sharpening, the forging, what happens when the weapon is finally unleashed? Because that quiet, it doesn't last forever. So what actually happens when the silence finally breaks? When you emerge from this, you're not going to just tentatively step back into the world. You're not even going to be the same person who went in. You will arrive. It's a totally different kind of entrance. An appearance that's marked by a power and a presence that is impossible to ignore. Yeah, like a sudden clap of thunder on a perfectly clear day. There's no warning, no hesitation, just a sudden, undeniable reality that changes the entire atmosphere. People will feel your presence command the room before you even say a word. They'll see a fire in your eyes that was lit by God Himself.
They'll sense an authority on you that can't be explained by a title or a position, and they will hear a voice that carries the sheer weight of your time in the forge.
And you are one of those weapons. When God opens his armory, it is not for show, it is for war. And the intensity of your forging directly corresponds to the significance of the battle you're being prepared for. Your opposition, they made a critical error. They saw your silence and they wrote you off. What they couldn't see was heaven drawing back the bowstring, pulling you back so far it felt like you were going to break, only to launch you further and faster than anyone could have ever imagined. You know, while the world was distracted by all the noise and the applause, you were being crafted in secret. So remember this. What is built in secret, what is overlooked and underestimated, is what ultimately becomes the most unstoppable force when it's finally revealed.